Hey guys, Bruce Kittle here with the Hidden Pearls podcast, coming at you live. This is the week before the Salute to Service game, as we are entering into a vicious battle with the Seattle Seahawks coming in. But we're not here to talk too much football, although our guests are big Niners fans and they will be in attendance. I am thrilled to have on the show with me Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel John Park and his amazing and very driven wife, Megan. And so we are grateful to have them. So John and Megan, along with four other Marine Corps vets who are friends and their two children, are joining us for the Salute to Service game this week against the Seahawks. They are down in San Diego, where John is a squadron commander, if I have that right. So he promised to correct me as I get going and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so welcome to the show. Thank you. I know this was kind of short notice, but we thought as long as you guys were coming and all that, we kind of wanted to just get a little vet story in and just talk a little bit about that, because John is in year 23, I believe, and next June 2025 he'll have 24 years in with the Marine Corps and will be officially retiring. So we just wanted to say thank you to him, hear a little bit of that story, and just welcome them up to Ninerville, because I think he knows the Bay, though, because I think he's from there. So we'll let them tell that story. But anyway, guys, welcome to the Hidden Pearls podcast. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. We're really excited.
Thank you. I'm so excited to go to the game, to thank you and your family. Just fantastic opportunity, and I can't thank you enough.
Yeah. Well, it all worked out. So fortunately, I'm grateful. Megan was kind of the prodder there, and she got us going. So I'm grateful that we got introduced and all that kind of stuff. Some of my best shows have been the wives of our veterans. So they tend to launch these emails, kind of tirades a little bit, not tirades, but consistent, persistent. You know what I mean? Anyway,
right.
and we try to listen
to keep
a
our
little
lives organized. So we're definitely on top of things. So
well, and it's kind of cool, just the nature of advocacy for our loved ones, you know what I mean? And so it's a pretty cool thing. So anyway, I'm going to buzz through a couple things. I'll let you guys kind of talk. So very grateful to be here with you guys. So we already talked about that, commanding officer. We talked about that of the Marine Aviation Logistics Squadron is it Miramar?
Miramar, San Diego.
Yes, sir. Yep, Air Base in San Diego. Okay. So let's see. So you enlisted in 2001 after high school, and while you were in boot camp, a little thing called 911 kicked off. And so I guess the one question I'd like is maybe you guys talk a little bit, make sure we get the love story in too, because I'd love to know where you guys met and all that. But John, I understand you're kind of from the Bay Area and kind of grew up in the Niner fold. Is that correct? Is that where you're from? And tell us a little bit about your family.
Yes, sir. A little further up the hill. Originally born in Tahoe, and then we moved down to the foothills. But we have love for the Bay. My mom's from Santa Cruz, so yeah, red and gold's in our blood.
Excellent. We're good about that, so that's all good. All right, and let's just jump into love. Then, where'd you meet old Megan at? Now, was she local or what happened?
No, we actually met in Virginia. So I am from North Carolina. I am a Southern Belle by trade. I work in government contracting. So I currently work for an aerospace company. And so we met through when we were both living, and he was stationed in Quantico in Virginia.
Okay. There you go. So base romance. All right.
It was not love at first sight. We went on a first date. We didn't date again for another month or so until she needed a TV hun. Called me up, and then that's when it started.
Yeah, unfortunately, when he said he was a Marine, I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. And here we are. So, it's all worked out, and we're so happy and love living in California. This is our first time being stationed on the West Coast. Although he's from California, he's always been on the East Coast, and so we've really enjoyed and embraced living on in California, and I am definitely a Niners fan through marriage. So love the Niners. We even spent our kids' college fund to go to the Super Bowl last year. So big fans.
Excellent. I'm sure they'll think that was well worth it. So anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It would have been better for a win, but it was an experience of a lifetime, and we enjoyed every minute of it. So.
Right. Okay. Well, very cool. All right. Well, we love that. And you got two kids, I think, Sierra and John the fifth.
He is. Yep.
Okay, that's what I saw.
JP5. Yep.
That's pretty cool. So, okay. Well, then maybe just, I'm not going to kind of pick apart the whole bio thing. I've got some stuff in here, but tell us a little bit about your career, and maybe just out of high school, why was the Marine Corps the calling? That's not everybody's choice. So how did that start?
Um, didn't quite have the best childhood. I mean, it was okay, but football is what kind of really set me on the right path, and just that brotherhood, that team before self, all of that. And I
Yep.
want to continue that because I think it helped get my mind right, get me on the right track. So I joined the Marine Corps because I wanted more of that and to serve our country, and I want to do it the best, and that was the Marines. And I got that in spades, and I'm so thankful I went down that path.
Oh, that's very cool. So, okay. So high school football must have had a good experience there and all that. What positions did you play?
Outside linebacker, defensive end.
Very nice. Okay. I like it. So, okay. Well, very cool. So, all right, football takes you into the Marines. And then, so during boot camp, 9/11 hits. And just say a little bit about that. So, you're
Yeah.
17, 18 in the middle of
As
boot camp?
just turned 18,
Yep.
and it was down in San Diego. And if you haven't been there, the San Diego Marine Boot Camp is right next to the airport. They share a fence,
Yep.
and they brought us into the auditorium. Like, it was real weird that day. They brought us in the auditorium. They tell us about the towers because we're all in the dark. We didn't have newspapers or phones or anything like that.
Right.
And
Boot
then
camp.
I looked over the guy next to me. You're not supposed to talk. I'm whispering under my breath. I'm like, they're just screwing with us because they're telling us we're going to war tomorrow. You're going to graduate early. We're going to go get some. And the guy next to me is kind of freaking out. I'm like, this can't be real. They're just messing with us. And then they're like, did you notice it's kind of quiet today? And I'm like, yeah, like, because the planes aren't flying. I'm like, oh crap, the drone
Right.
instructors can't control the airport next to us. So that's when it got real.
For sure. Yeah. That was a pretty quiet day.
Yeah.
It was just, it's one of those days that, like, the two that I really remember is when the space shuttle blew up. I mean, that was a while back, but for me, I know exactly where I was at and all that. And the same with 9/11. We were homeschooling our kids, and we had a little 10-inch black and white TV. That's about all we had. And we sat in front of that, and yeah, the world was a very different place after that. So, okay, so off you go. So early graduation, and then off and deployed. And let's see. Okay. Uh, Iraqi Freedom, I think, right? Operation Iraqi Freedom was the first round, and
513, the Nightmares, Harriers.
okay. So I
He
don't.
doesn't know
So
what that means.
No, sorry.
no, no,
He
no,
has
no, no.
he
Nobody will
talks
have
the
any.
military talk. So
So
you went on a mute, right? On
Yep.
the boat. Yeah.
On a boat on USS Peleliu with VMA 513. It's a Harrier squadron. They since decommissioned, then they recommissioned as VMFAT 502, which I helped restand the squadron back up, and it's pretty cool. It was like a homecoming, from my first unit to one of my last units. It was real neat.
okay, so this thing you're describing with all those numbers, are those planes? Or
Squadron numbers. Originally, they flew the AVAB Harrier. That's the one that Arnold Schwarzenegger flies in True Lies, that hovers.
okay.
And
Oh, very
then
cool.
when they deactivated, they re-stood back up years and years later with the F-35B, which is the Joint Strike Fighter that also hovers. So
Okay.
yeah, real cool.
Okay. All right. And then, so you like worked on them and did that? I mean, you were like, what did you do for the plane? Like, how does that work? What did you do
When I
exactly?
was enlisted, I built the motors for them, the
Okay.
Rolls-Royce 408 Bravo.
So
So, and
you're
then
Talk some
test.
military
Yeah,
speak. You're
yeah.
gonna have to
I
speak
built
in.
the jet engines.
nice. There we go. Now we're
Yeah,
getting
there we
somewhere.
go.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to
Yeah,
explain to him. I'm like,
You got
they
to
don't
talk
know.
down to me a little bit.
yeah,
He's
It's
been in for too long.
yeah.
He's institutionalized. He doesn't realize
I am.
that people
Yeah.
don't understand. So
well, it's okay.
yeah, you worked on aircrafts when you were
Mhm.
enlisted, and then tell him about how you became an officer.
Yeah.
During that deployment, I had an officer. They taught college classes, and on the way to Iraq, he taught a couple classes. It's my first college ever, and then when I got back, I went full time. So I'd work, all day, and night school at the local junior college, and on weekends doing college, and
Yep.
eventually got my degree. And then I put in for a commission. I was accepted, and then off to Quantico to go get to officer candidate school and the basic school and everything else.
Okay. Okay. So about how far in was that? So you enlisted in 2001. Is that
Yep.
right?
And I was
Okay.
in,
And so when did all
sorry,
that
I
go
was
down?
listed for 5 years, from private E1 to sergeant E5. And then I got commissioned second lieutenant in '01.
Okay.
Butter bar.
A
Yeah, way
butter
to go.
bar.
Butter bar. Yep. The boot of all the officers. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's not really a good thing. I mean, it's a good, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And once you're a sergeant, you're kind of, know what you're doing, kind of a master in your trade, people kind of respect you. And then you
Right.
start over as a '01 second lieutenant and you lose all your street cred and you're just, the young officer. So you got to start over.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And had you always kind of envisioned going the officer rank? Like, I mean, was that a different kind of transition for you? I mean, what kind of motivated you to do all that?
So I was going to college and I was in, I think it was a strategic management or whatever class it was. They made us write a 20-year plan. I was a corporal at the time, an E4, probably 20, 21 years old. And I mapped out my whole future, like finish my degree, get commissioned, become every step along the way, become a squadron AMO and eventually MAL CO. And I've completed that checklist and now I'm moving on.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
He's
All
very
right.
modest, but he finished college in 2 years while he was in the Marine Corps. He's
Yeah.
got 2 master's degrees, a postdoc in space. This guy
Baby.
is he's a genius. So he doesn't like talking about himself, and he cares a lot more about his guys, which is why he's such a great Marine,
Right.
and gals, I should say. He's got both, but yeah, he worked so hard to get to where he is, and he had his mindset on his goals, and that's where he's gotten. So
Okay, baby.
really proud of him.
John, it's okay. You're retiring and
He
it's kind of
can.
okay. Because you know what? Here's the thing. I just want you to appreciate, though, that your story is super inspiring. And, for somebody to come out of high school and then go through what you've done and the experiences you've had, and then to, do this college thing and then to get commissioned and do all those kind of things. I mean, it really leaves opportunities and doorways wide open for people. And so it's a great thing to share that. And so, in this, and just remember, as you're kind of the chosen lighthouse for this show, right? And so the lighthouse beams and provides light to others to light their path. And so it's all good. So I appreciate your humility very much. And I totally understand the discomfort that you might have as your wife goes on and on about you.
Very, very much.
But I'm glad she's here because those are the stories, though. And that's, here's the thing about it, too. So it's like 98% of the vets that we deal with and we tell stories about, it's like pulling freaking teeth. You know what I mean? Like read the bio and you're like, oh my gosh, look at all this. They're doing all these things. And it's like all they think about is the guy next to them or the woman. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
how
Way,
can I
way
serve my
rather talk about them.
yeah, how can I serve my team? Here's the things that we did together and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, all good. We will try not to make it too painful, but Megan, I appreciate your kind of prodding there and all that kind of stuff. So it's really great. So,
What you didn't
okay,
see is he's pinching me in the back,
Yeah.
like stop, stop, stop.
I've done that. I've done that to my wife, although she's probably wasn't saying good things about me more than that. But anyway, that's another story. All right, let's see. So, well, let me ask you. So, you worked all the way up to ranks. You've done all that kind of stuff. Is there anything else about how many other deployments did you end up with, John? I mean, did you go back over, or how did all that work?
So if you want to be safe in combat, be by me. Um, we join the Marines. We always want to go to battle and test ourselves and see our manhood. Uh,
Yep.
I've never had that opportunity. I've always my deployments were not peacetime, but except for the first one, they were like overseas to Japan, Guam,
Gotcha.
all the countries all over the world. When things pop off, if you're around me, you're going to be safe.
Right. Okay. So let me ask you this then, just because a lot of the work that we do with other veterans, so we're part of like merging vets and players, and so they've got weekly calls and all that kind of stuff, and I hear a lot of stories of the struggles, and the two parts of it are some of the experiences that they went through, and their impact with the military and those kind of things left some marks. and then the struggles that they've had with transitioning out of the military, which you haven't done that yet. So that's kind of an upcoming piece, but looks like you're pretty well equipped for all of those kind of things. And so, but I appreciate still, I don't want you to downplay those deployments either and all that kind of stuff, because I know folks that weren't in frontline stuff, but still dealt with quite a bit. And so the military can be quite a bit, but it sounds like you had a great experience through the Marine Corps, learned a lot and had all kinds of challenges, and everything has worked out really well. Am I on point with that pretty well? Or yep. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well then, all right. Well then, take me through your career in a way. I see a master's degree from the Naval Postgraduate School, and then probably something else. I think I heard 2 graduate degrees, so there's something else out there. So, and then there's something about being in like space operations staff officer, which I have no idea what that is either. So, like, are you going to the moon or Mars, or like tell me about the naval
That's the
stuff
plan.
and all this stuff with the space program. So, what's going on with all that?
Um, when I was stationed in Florida, I was blessed to work on the first F-35 at Eglin Air Force Base. When I was down there, they had a master's program that I was doing off duty. And when I finished that, they transferred me up to Quantico. I went to a school and then a few other places out to 29 Palms and Yuma and everything else. But then they do this, they call it the Commandant's Professional Education Board. And they said, "Oh, you got a master's. I bet you won't flunk if we send you to Naval Postgraduate School for another master's." So I didn't want to go. They made me. Turned out to be one of the best experiences of my life. Got to go get an MBA in Monterey for a year and a half, and it was amazing. And then I had to go do a payback tour back in DC, and that turned out to be fantastic too.
Okay. So, what did you learn in the Naval Postgraduate School? Like, what was it? Like, what do you do?
Um, that was my first time being a full time student in my whole life,
Right.
aside from since high school. So um, it was the MBA in logistics.
Oh, okay. So not super Navy-ish. It was more kind of
It,
business and
it is a Navy school, but yeah, a lot of business, a lot of math formulas, like
okay.
relatively
Gotcha.
typical MBA program.
All
I
right.
think
And then what about the whole space operations thing? Like, are we talking like space?
so. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
When I was in 29 Palms, they have an annual board to go to this course at Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado. And it's kind of like their captain's career level school. And I was lucky enough to be the token Marine amongst all the Air Force.
Okay.
So I got to learn a lot of cool stuff. Like there is astronauts that teach there, and it was just such an amazing experience.
Okay. Do you have space plans?
I do.
Do you?
That's his
Let's hear.
plan for getting out
Yeah.
is he wants to go work for Space
Yeah,
Force.
yeah. I
So,
hear Elon Musk is taking over some government efficiency thing, and I
Yeah.
want to take his job. Someone's got to run SpaceX, so
There you go.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's pretty good. And what would you envision? Like, so if it's mapped out on the outline that you've already prepared, I know you have to add to that because you keep accomplishing everything else that you've done. So, what does it look like for you to work in the space program? And where do you see yourself going?
I want to see humans on Mars in my lifetime.
Okay. All right. And do you want to be one of those humans, or you're going to be kind of behind the scenes?
I would love to, but I don't think Meg would want me to leave for 4 years. So
It's a bit of a haul, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
if he wanted to do it, he could. But yeah, I don't want to go to Mars. I'm good here.
Yeah, that's kind of a journey. So, okay. Let's see. Well, then, so somewhere along the way, so you're all these kind of things, and so we're 2006, and then all the things you're talking about. Somewhere in here, right, within the last few years, you had a pretty significant surgery, and so is that okay to jump up to that and just kind of talk a minute about that too? So,
Sure.
or is there anything else about your education and training and experience within the military that you want to say a little bit more about? Because I don't want to cut you off in any way.
Just that Marines are the best, and I've worked with the
Yeah.
best men and women our country has to offer. And I'm just every day I wake up and get to work with them. It's the best. Like it's the highlight of my day.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I'm glad that experience has been so good for you, and it's great. It seems like it. You're just kind of you're like buzzing, and your energetic glow is pretty bright. So that's pretty cool. So, well, tell us then about this setback, because it doesn't sound like you've had a whole bunch of setbacks in life. You've been pretty able to achieve the goals and objectives that you've set. You've performed at a very high standard and all that kind of stuff. but physically you had a little challenge here a bit ago. So tell us a little bit about what happened there.
Um, so I'd get these like pretty acute chest pains. The last minute or two, I thought nothing of it, just suck it up, carry on, push it down.
Right.
And then my wife just kept bugging me and bugging me and bugging me. And then so to nicely shut her up, I promised I would go to the doc. Kind of snowballed from there. Like, all right, we need a little more imaging. Next thing, like, okay, take this other test. And next thing you know, the doc at Medical University of South Carolina is like, I'm clearing my schedule. I'm getting you in 2 days on Friday. And it was a Wednesday when I found out. I was like, oh, huge shock. So open heart surgery. At the time, I was also on the command board for the Marine Corps, and they don't want to pick someone with injuries or anything else. So I was really trying to downplay I was having open heart surgery. And then kind of went back to work a little early, like 6 days after getting out of the hospital. Probably still on some painkillers. I was having my wife drive me to base so I could be back at work and try to push through it. So,
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a rough time. He had an aneurysm, and they typically do surgery when it's 6 centimeters, and his was right at it. And he's had a lot of physical things happen. So the open heart surgery was pretty devastating, and because we weren't sure if he was going to be able to go back to the Marine Corps. And again, thinking about his 20-year plan, the kind of
Right.
final part of that was becoming a commanding officer, and you have to be selected for that.
Yeah.
And so we were worried that this was going to prohibit him from being selected. And so we had the surgery. And then pretty quickly after that, we found out he got selected for command in Miramar. So it was a really hard time, and then a really good time, and just really proud of him. He rehabbed, and I'm really grateful he went to the doctor. As you can tell, he's just a hair stubborn, and doesn't always take the best care of himself physically. So it's been that was a long road, and a rough couple of months with a full open heart surgery. He will have to have surgery again in 5 or 10 years, so it's going to be a continuing problem. But you never know. He's super tough, and just took it so well, and was just so excited for him when he got commanding officer, because it was we weren't sure we were going to get there. So
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. Congratulations on surviving. Congratulations for actually going to a doctor. So that's good.
I don't like him.
The military in general, it's an odd thing because, like, you have all the docs and everything available, but there's this kind of John Wayne culture, it feels like. And I mean, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but it's like, you can't admit I'm hurt or I got a problem and all that kind of stuff, which at times seems a little counterintuitive because, like, if my teammate's really hurting, the team's better served by keeping everybody healthy, which might require some doctor looking at you. But it doesn't seem like it works that way. But I don't know if that was your experience or not. But there's this kind of like, you guys have to be super tough and carry on this kind of presence, which I totally get. But at the same time, you got to take care. So I will be sending you. So we have a Hidden Pearl studio. So Em and I, we do mindfulness, meditation, and movement. So there's all kind of yoga and flows and breath work and all that kind of stuff. So Megan, you already have it, right? Did I already send it to you or not? Or you already? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
no, so I'm also a yoga instructor and bar instructor here in San Diego. But
Okay.
Bruce, I've never been able to get John to do a yoga class. He's had ankle reconstructions. He needs his knees replaced. He would benefit so greatly from yoga. But again, that tough mentality is like, oh, I'm not going to do yoga. And I'm like, I literally went talking about retirement goals. My goal for him is that he'll start taking better care of his body and admitting that he's not superhuman. So
Yeah. So I completed my 200-hour yoga teacher training certification this summer. So I just got that done. So it's I started about 14 or 15 years ago, and it's a very the mat, it kind of, your body you get there and there's so many things you can't do, but it's a lot like life. It's a lot like your military journey. It's like, no matter how deep you go into yoga, your body there's always more, you've never kind of finished the story, and it's kind of cool that way. But for me, the movement, because I was a wrestler and football player, And so it was kind of like that. And I did it in the hot room and all that kind of stuff. And then it connects you to your body to the mat. And then you have to then start working on your breath. So once you start working on your breath, and that takes you into this whole mindfulness thing. And the next thing you know, you're doing meditation. And it's just the journey has just been really profound. And so the things that you learn along the way, and yeah, it's really great. Anyway, it's there. And just so all the flows that I do are all for so we work with athletes too. So most of my stuff is for like offensive, defensive linemen who can't do yoga. So everything's got a bunch of modifications and is nice, easy flow, pretty much. So we keep putting stuff up there. So there's a lot of resources. You can kind of try it. Emma does a great job. She's got like hip openers and like shoulder things. And so it's like a whole flow dedicated to certain body parts and all that. But the one thing I will suggest though, is you really think hard about the breath work, because it neurologically changes the way you interface with the world. And so that research is pretty solid on that. So if you want more endorphins and feel good, happy buzz, and a little calmer presence, not that you're not, you seem pretty well chill, but anyway, it offers a lot.
That
So
took
anyway,
me a
that's
long time.
yeah. So that's anyway, that's my plug. But as a retirement piece, it might be a thing to think about. So you can use the same code stuff for him as well. So if you get him logged in, at least you can download the app and play with it. So anyway, but you are welcome. And she's got my contact info. So if you have any questions or like need a suggestion for something, you let me know. So we do a bunch of stuff. So anyway, so not trying to browbeat you, but anyway, but you got to have a plan too for retirement. And retirement's not much good if your body's not able to take you where you want to go. So anyway, so hopeful for that. Okay. So well done on that. Glad you're well. So let's see. So fall of 2022, selected as the commanding officer of the Marine Aviation Logistics Squadron 11. Well, hello.
Hey, pup.
Oh my goodness. Hi, Blue.
Hi, sweetie.
Oh, he's so cute.
So I had taken the vet. He's on his second round of shots. He gained 5 pounds in 10 days.
Dang.
Whoa. No,
Big boy.
no. He just, I don't know if he likes me, but he chews on everything I have. So everything's got to be like put away and all that stuff. Or
Yeah.
he's mad at me. I don't know. But anyway, okay. So tell us about that position you're currently in. And it sounds like obviously a real goal to be a squadron commander in that way and all that kind of stuff. So tell us what a squadron commander does. What's the normal day for you there in old San Diego and all that kind of stuff? Like how many people do you have and like what exactly do you do?
Mouse 11 has 660 Marines. We support KC-130s, F-35 Bravos and Charlies, and F-18 Charlies and Deltas. My job is pretty easy, only because I have a fantastic Sergeant Major Scott Horn, and my XO, Major Raquel Davila, and all my department heads. I got Eric Giantino, Captain Andre, and my Fernandez and Castlebaum, and they just make it so easy. So
Right.
my job, like they have like their own little fiefdoms, is trying to make sure they're coordinate. And then I just go around, trying to motivate the Marines and make sure we're fixing airplanes and keeping readiness up and meeting the sortie-based training plan and deploying aircraft and killing our enemies.
Right. Okay. And so you supervise the folks who work on the planes to keep everybody flying.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so
Okay.
maybe
Yep.
describe, you've got
Yeah,
maintenance,
we do all the maintenance, the ordnance, the avionics, like the computers, the beeps and squeaks, and then the supply and some of the financials that go behind that. There's like 53 different functions that all need to coordinate together.
Okay. And then just so I kind of so out of San Diego, then are those so the folks who fly and those squadrons, are they all based out of there as well? So they're kind of there,
Yep.
you work on the planes, and then when they're doing missions or fly, then they take their stuff out and run around with it.
Yep,
Gotcha.
exactly. We have aircraft that are in the Middle East right now. In the news the other day, like part of the Houthi strikes with the F-35 Charlies. We got in Yemen, or not Yemen, I'm sorry, the Horn of Africa. We got C-130s out there. We're just all over the place.
Okay. And so when they're deployed like that, they're out, and then I don't know, do they fly back or they get on a ship and then the ships bring them back, the Navy does, and then you work on them and then they go back out?
Yes to all that, and then we send our Marines out, to support them while they're not at home station.
I got you. Okay. So it's kind of coordinated. And then are they Marine pilots? Is that a thing? Okay. I got you. So okay. So that's the Marine's kind of a little broader spectrum there. So I got you. Okay. Well, all right. Pretty cool. Then how about, let's see. You got a bunch of awards. I got your bio here. So I
There's
know
people with a lot more awards. So.
well, okay.
So humble.
Okay, I'll just read them, okay, because it's kind of cool. Like I was going, dude. All right, Meritorious Service Medal, Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal, Air Force Commendation Medal, and Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal. So I bet when you're full dress, you got all the stuff on, right? And a bunch of that because you've been around forever and got all that stuff going on. Any of those that you want to, again, I have no idea what any of them are. It sounds pretty cool though. So I just want to give you a space, and you probably won't want to say anything, but people are really curious about all that kind of stuff. And so, was there any one of these that really, kind of stood out for you that you were super proud of?
I've just been in a lot of cool places with a lot of great people that just happened to be part of it and was recognized for being part of good groups of people. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
What an answer. I know you're shocked by that. He
No,
really
it's okay.
loves talking about himself.
No, you know what though? I get it's all good. So anyway, but I've read them, and so you've been around for a long time, done a great job, and I do as a so my background's either back and forth my whole life between being a football coach or criminal defense lawyer. So that's kind of where I spent my days. But the football thing I totally identify with because there's very few places that you get that vibe where everybody's kind of pulling on the rope in the same direction in an organized, coordinated way, trying to improve, and everybody's got to do their job because 11 on 11's got to get done and all that kind of stuff. And when you're around good people working to make it happen, it sure makes a big difference. So, all right, well, let's kind of, so out of the details and facts, let's just kind of shift a little bit. So you're finally retiring and you're going into space somehow, some way eventually. So that's pretty
I will
cool.
get there.
Yeah. And so this sounds like it was all kind of part of the plan. I guess, John, I'm kind of just curious about, so I have some questions just about core lessons that you've learned. And then I also want to just talk a little bit about mindset, so we, in our work with kind of different athletes and all that kind of stuff. So we work a little bit on mental prep along with the meditation and mindfulness. And so it's like, having a vision, and manifesting that a little bit and kind of trusting the energy and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the work is how do you lean into things that you really want and want to become without striving so hard for it, it like you get whacked out and all that kind of stuff. So tell us a little bit about kind of your core mindset getting through the Marine Corps, not getting through in a bad way. I just mean day to day and all that, because it obviously posed a lot of challenges and all that. And what were some of the core lessons maybe that you picked up along the way that you might share with some folks?
I'm living proof that you don't have to be the smartest, the fastest. One of the biggest lessons I learned is that hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard.
So you know where that quote is posted? So that so I was on staff at the University of Oklahoma. I played at Iowa with Coach Bob Stoops, and so I was on the staff there for a while. That is like in 6-foot letters across the weight room. It's because they always believe they always had the best talent, but it's no guarantee of winning. And so that part is really true. So you out hustled some dudes that you thought had more talent than you?
Oh, for sure.
100%, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's a really cool point though. So like no matter where we are situated, it's kind of there's a sense about having an honest assessment of what we do have and then trying to maximize and leverage what we do have through effort and hard work. So we always talk about attitude, effort, and energy. Those are 3 things that you control. And so what attitude are you bringing in, what energy you're bringing in, those kind of things, and what kind of level of effort are you putting toward whatever it is that you want to accomplish. So because there are folks that feel like they didn't get handed out the right deck of cards and they don't maximize those and kind of sit around and feel bad about themselves. And so we're all about small consistent steps all taken in the same direction can lead to amazing results. So you have a little bit of a vision, get on the path. And if you just do the little building blocks to get to wherever it is that you think you want to go, it's amazing over time where you can actually get. It doesn't feel like it, but it can kind of go. So, okay. So you were never discouraged. You kind of kept climbing and kept doing the work and weren't afraid of school. So all that kind of stuff. Any other kind of core lessons, through Marine Corps or life at this point? How old are you now?
41.
41. Okay. So yeah, that's still, you got a lot left to do. You'll be in space for a long time. That's pretty cool. All right. Any other kind of core lessons the military, kind of instilled within you, that
So,
you would share?
the military, like especially when you're young, they're like, it's all about discipline, instant willing to be all orders. When I was kind of young, I always I did what I was told, but I challenged the process. I looked, I evaluated, and like, why are we doing this? And the answer a lot of the time is, well, we've always done it this way. And I've challenged that like my whole career. And I think that's kind of been successful for me. Like, let's do it faster. Let's do it better. Let's kill them cheaper. All those things.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a great book on organizational change, but it's called Sacred Cows Make Great Hamburgers.
Yeah,
That's
hell
the
yeah.
same thing, but it's like these things that, oh, well, we've always done it that way. Well, it ain't 1970, you know what I mean? Like whatever, so like always being willing to be open to challenge and all that. But so many people are, I think, nervous about change or get uncomfortable around that if we're not doing it the same way we've always done it. And then having leadership that are willing to kind of take a journey off the traditional path, that requires a little bit of Canucks as well. And you don't always get that sometimes. And so that's a great attribute to have. So, okay. So some core lessons, you always come back with it. And we'll talk about your retirement transition. Do you have like a story of a very, I don't know, profound setback or an obstacle or struggle that, you faced along the way and how you might have overcome it? Is there something that really stands out? Or couldn't have all been super smooth sailing? I know once you married Megan, life was just wonderful and you're at the base of the rainbow the whole time. But was there something that really stuck out that was really a struggle for you or anything like that? Or
Um, I've moved, I don't know, 15, 16 times for like different sets of orders, 2 year, 1 year, sometimes 3 years. It's like the first time I be somewhere 3 years. But every time I go somewhere, there's always a new challenge. There's always something critical.
Yeah.
Just, there's so many things. Like
Yeah.
in 2010, when we had the Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps all in Florida trying to stand up the F-35 program in the Joint Program Office, and they're like, "Whose doctrine are we going to use?" And the Air Force had the most people. They were trying to beat their chest, but we're the Marines and we can do it better. And just trying to work through all that just from a policy issue of how we're going to manage it and develop all that. And then after that, I was in a VMU, like an unmanned aerial squadron. So
Right.
flying drones around the desert, 29 Palms, and then like magically we're gonna switch to a new drone, and then we're gonna move the squadron to Yuma. That was quite a challenge to move an entire unit permanently from one place to another. Did that again with F-35, standing up a unit in Beaufort, moving to San Diego. It's just there's always something new.
Yeah. Well, that's what that does. I know George always says that. So we moved a lot because between coaching and, doing other things. And he was always kind of a little like, didn't like complain about it, but they were, "Oh, we got to move, you don't want to lose the friends and all that." But, as we look back on it, he has a pretty gregarious personality. And the one thing about it is now he's really good at meeting people, like new people. He like, and change doesn't bother him a bit. You know what I mean? He just takes it, and so I always look back to that, all those different schools he went to and the new classrooms he had to walk into and all that. So some of the things in life that we feel like are really difficult for us, they do build us and prepare us and help us evolve and grow in a way that can make us stronger if we're just able to kind of maybe see some of that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. Any core lessons about human nature in general? Because you've been like the Marines has to be a lot about, I know it's rank and you kind of have to do certain things, but it's got to be a lot about relationships and being able to build coalitions and cooperate and all that kind of stuff. Were there any surprises about human nature as you evolved through this whole thing?
Um, in the military, people want to do a good job, just in
Yeah.
general.
Right.
But I learned because your drill instructors yell at you, everyone yells at you. I took all those lessons of who are the good leaders, what they do right, and who are the bad ones, what they do wrong,
Right.
and try to model my own. It took me a minute not to like try to hit everything with a hammer. To like some people that they need words of encouragement, others they need a boot in the ass, and just trying to figure out what motivates people and give them that to get the best out of them.
That's a great point. Yeah. I just had this conversation with a good friend of mine, and she's kind of been this more pretty tough supervisor at her employment place and all that kind of stuff. And we kind of talked about, if the only tool you have in your tool belt's a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And it's just like kind of, you don't have to get rid of your hammer because maybe there's a time for it. But if you lead with it, more things get broken than get fixed. And so that's a pretty cool point about just being curious about what motivates a person and what you kind of get through 'em. So, okay, let's see. We'll jump down a couple other things. We're running through this. All right. Um, I guess one question, how about, do you look back and see over these years, the 23, 4 years that you've been in, has your kind of mindset and perceptions at all, have you evolved and changed? And maybe you've already kind of touched on that a little bit. So, about good leadership and being able to see that it's, just the way you describe your kind of perspective, it seems like you've been very open and curious about just learning as much as you possibly could, and then sifting through, picking out what works and kind of throwing away what doesn't work, and been just on the growth curve your whole life. Is that kind of accurate?
In my mind, I'm still a like 22-year-old
Right.
sergeant. And
Yeah.
then I had a huge mentor back then. This guy, Sergeant Darren Miller, who'll actually be coming to the game.
Oh,
Um,
great.
and then whenever I run into a problem, I like, what would Darren do?
Yeah.
And that's worked very well for me after all these years. I use less of the hammer than I used to, thankfully. But yeah, that's about it.
Well, and that speaks to mentors too. So that's a great thing. Having somebody in your corner that can kind of help you evolve through that. So that's pretty good. Okay. I'm guessing I have a question there about tools and daily practices that help keep you healthy mentally, emotionally, and physically. Are there some things that are core to that? So for many of us, it's meditation, some breath work, journaling, working out, all that kind of stuff. So how do you keep the engine running at a smooth level other than radiate from all the love you get from Megan?
I mean, she is my rock. Like, she is amazing, and she works harder than I do. Like, she is busy and she's always traveling. Super successful in her career. She's a vice president at an aerospace company. Like, she's killing it. So aside from that, every morning I work out. I didn't want to do it because I don't like CrossFit, but I started doing F45. It's quick, it's easy, it's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy it. I didn't think I would, but I do. And
Okay.
then like, unfortunately, when you're the commanding officer, you have to do non-judicial punishments every now and then, where you have to, someone screwed up and you got to hold them accountable, or maybe bust them down a rake. Hate doing it. Like, it weighs on my soul. You got to do it though. It's right for the institution. Like,
Yep.
you have to do it. But on the back end of those, I grab Sergeant Major Horn, and him and I go out on the golf court, and I'll try to give out, reward Marines with coins or awards or something else to balance out all that
Yeah.
negative. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Why don't you talk about too, like, he's a big audiobook guy. I think that helps
Oh,
to quiet his mind at
oh
the end
yeah.
of the day. Again, he doesn't do meditation or any of that kind of stuff. That's more my swim lane, but he does a lot of, yes, exactly. I listen to you every day. Weirdly, you and Emma are always in my head.
okay.
I do that when I walk. But he's a big hiker, big outdoors. But I
Ah,
think for him, listening to books is a big kind of stress reliever. So one thing he didn't mention is one of the sacrifices I think that our military folks make, both the families and the members, is time. I mean, he works. He gets up every day at 5 a.m. He doesn't get home until usually 7 p.m. And then he normally comes in and works until he goes to bed. And that's because he's responsible for 660
right.
Marines. He's always got something going on. There's always, something to do. And so it's really hard for him to prioritize himself. And so I think it's going to be interesting to
Mm,
see what retirement looks like, because he has a hard time turning it off. I think we both do. We're both very type
yeah.
A, motivated. Let's do whatever we've got to do, get it done. I mean, for me, meditation's hard. I think I told Emma previously, I a lot of times do your mindful Mondays on a walk, because it's like I just have a hard time taking 30 minutes just to sit. But yeah, he does unwind by doing spending time with family. Again, we've got 3 dogs, so walking the dogs, going on hikes, and he is a huge audiobook guy. Likes to play them right when we're going to bed. It's really relaxing for me. Love hearing all the stuff that he, because it's loud, because he
Oh,
can't hear since
no
he's worked the
headphones.
flight line his entire career. So one of the other nice side effects of the Marine Corps,
Yeah.
he's
Right.
deaf.
Audiobooks and Sudoku before I go to bed to make the
Ooh.
voices be quiet.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I put the headphones on and I use a little insight timer, and they have a lot of kind of sleep related meditations that I found to be, just kind of puts you right out. So that's good. And I love the audiobooks, so it's good. You can kind of do stuff. And I want to affirm walking meditations are super popular because a lot of people that physically, it takes a long time to kind of harness that energy in a way that feels productive. If you're just kind of sitting, that's really difficult for folks. So, mindfulness is just about being aware of whatever the focus of your attention is. That's it. So what is my mind thinking about? So it's like watching the watcher, and that's all it is. And so you can do that walking, you can do it all kinds of different ways. So now that I have a pup, I got to do these long walks, and we're working on our heel and all that kind of stuff. So we're doing the training stuff. So my routines are pretty disrupted right now. So, but I still put my ear pods in and kind of listen while we're walking and doing all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. So that's cool. Well, it's good to find things that you care about and all that. So I have some stuff in there. A lot of the vets we deal with, they struggle with the transition. So you've got a plan. You've had a great career so far. Doesn't sound like you're, other than physically, paying attention to the healing process there. So have you been around, or like, are there things that you've seen other vets go through in that kind of healing process and all that? So for a lot of people, when they lose the uniform, it's really difficult. They're used to being able to give orders and commands and being respected for who they are and the team and all that kind of stuff. And so they lose kind of the team, they lose their rank, and they lose their kind of their mastery over whatever it was, that they spent their career doing and that kind of thing. And so any tips or suggestions for people kind of facing that kind of quandary? Because you're about to step off that ledge yourself, although it sounds like you got a pretty good plan about where you're going to go. But anything you've seen successful for people in that transition, or have you been around that very much?
I've a lot of my mentors have retired, and a lot of them kind of stuck around in the government work. So they're still giving back to our country, and that seemed to fill their cup. The ones who haven't, they've had a harder time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that don't stay connected to what's familiar. Um, I haven't done it yet, so I can't really give you
Yeah.
any advice. So
Well,
I'm yeah.
yeah. Well, good luck with all that. So, I mean, there's a lot of groups out there because we work with, so we got the Freedom Paws, so they do the dog thing. And then we work with a group called Operation Surf. They're on the West Coast, um, down south of Avila Beach, so they're down there. And so they use the water and surfing to kind of heal and connect. But it's a lot more about community and sharing stories and all that kind of stuff. Let's see, there's a fly fishing group out of North Carolina that is really cool. I mean, they take all the groups of vets on these fly fishing tours on this. Can't remember the name of the river, but it's just gorgeous and it's pretty cool. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff out there. So anyway, I have no doubt that you'll have a harder time unplugging than you'll will having plug in. So all good. Okay, so all right. So we'll kind of wrap up with this, and then Megan, anything, I don't want to shortchange you. So thank you so much for kind of adding little pieces here along the way. Anything else about the journey that for the two of you along this way that was kind of eye opener for you, or a big lesson, or anything that would kind of like to share with folks as we're kind of wrapping up?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, thank you again for doing all of this. I know John is so uncomfortable when I talk about him or talking about himself in general. I think he's had an incredible career. He's done a lot of amazing things. Like he said, he's an idea guy. The guys that work for him absolutely love him. And I think it's
So
most of them do, because he's so passionate and he cares so
Yeah.
much about the people and the Marine Corps, and he's given his entire life to it. So, for military spouses, we do give up a lot of time. I think he's given up a lot of family time,
Right.
and that's something he hasn't really spoken about on here. But he's missed a lot, and it's a
Right.
sacrifice for the families, and so I am very grateful because part of my job as the commanding officer's wife is I get to work with all of the spouses in his group. And, some of them are 18, 19 years old. This is their
Right.
first time leaving home, and they're, married young. And so I'm very grateful to hopefully impact their lives in a positive way as well. Speaking about, yoga. So I teach most Saturdays here in Pacific Beach. A puppy yoga class. So we partner with local rescues. I teach the yoga. Nobody cares about the yoga though, really. It's an hour of serotonin with puppies.
Right.
So we did that. We had he had a couple of deaths in his suicides in his squadron, and we
Yeah.
brought puppies on base and that kind of stuff. And we we find other ways to kind of we did that with the spouse group. We brought them in, brought puppies to the base and let all the spouses play with them. So The spouses play an important role, and it's not an easy job. You spend a lot of time away from your partner, whether they're deployed or even when they're not deployed. Like right now, he's not deployed, but he's never at home. And when he is at home, he's not really here. So it's a sacrifice, but I'm so proud of all of our military folks. It's a very tough job, and they give a lot of their time and just who they are. I mean, you can tell by just talking to him. He is a military Marine, like he is a Marine through and through. And just really proud of them. And I think we're excited for this transition. I think we would be lying if we didn't say we're a little bit nervous about it. But I think he's brilliant and he's a genius. And so he's going to do great things, whether he's in or out of the military. He's freaking out right now. He's like, please shut up. But he's going to do great things. And I'm just grateful for, the experiences we've had, and excited to see what the future holds for us.
Very cool. Well, that's great. Well, and I guess I just encourage you, like I'm 65. And so the things that I keep learning, I just know that if I stay in my comfort zone too long, I get uncomfortable about being too comfortable. You know what I mean? And I'm just kind of like, that's why I love yoga and I want to do the teacher training. So I've got some other things kind of on my list, and I'm just trying to fit it in with, our schedule with football and all that kind of stuff. But I just always want to kind of step outside that boundary a little bit and just kind of, what can I learn now? Who can I be around? What are they doing? All that kind of stuff. And just, kind of that, open mind and curiosity about the world is such a beautiful, huge, unbelievable place. And we have such a short time to be a part of it. And there's just so many people to meet and things to experience. And so just doing the same thing we've always done just is not going to work. So I'm very excited for you guys. So, okay. How about, all right. So we always so the name of this podcast is called Hidden Pearls. We named it for Hidden Pearls because we believe that each person has a hidden pearl within them, for good and for the better of all humanity. So one of the questions we like to kind of end with, other than what do you think about the game on Sunday versus Seattle? So we can get back to that. But maybe, what, given your career for both of you really, and Megan, you're kind of involved in a whole bunch of things. And so what have you seen lately that gives you hope? Those are kind of the hidden pearls for us, things or people or events or situations. What have you experienced or seen kind of late that you feel hopeful about?
You want to go first?
I'm always a half cup full kind of guy. Like my mom taught me when I was young, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and I've always been hopeful.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So moms always work out. That's good. I love that. You seem very much the half cup full. So, all right, Megan, any hopeful things in your life that you've experienced of late?
I think just in general, I'm a big proponent of spreading kindness and joy. I mean, I think this experience with you guys has been, quite honestly, a dream. I tried for 6 months to do something nice for him. And, for me, again, I'm very connected to animals, and I love that I get to give back in a lot of ways with, rescues around here. That's a big passion of mine. But just, when people do things that are kind for others, it fills my cup. And there's a lot of good in the world. I mean, there's a lot of bad too, but again, I think we both try to focus on the good, and we're lucky we are surrounded by great people. So I think there are a lot of still really great people out there. And I think, Bruce, you're one of those people. By what you do for veterans is amazing. And we are just so grateful, and I'm so thankful for this opportunity. So thank you.
Okay, well, it should be a great weekend. All right, what are we thinking?
Yes.
What do you?
We're gonna win for sure.
Bang bang Niner gang.
Bang bang Niner gang. So, all right. Well, I think we got all the logistics laid out with Megan. She's been terrific. So, if there's not anything else, I just want to say thank you both of you for the service and sacrifices that you guys have made, because it takes a team, and our military is a massive team, well coordinated, and we've met some unbelievably gifted and talented and skillful people. And so it's a really cool thing. So we're proud to have you in for the Salute to Service. I think it's going to be a really fun weekend. The Niners do a great job of hosting everybody. So we'll look forward to doing that. And we'll have a little post game with George and Claire. So we'll have a chance to meet a little bit more of the family and meet the rest of your crew. Cause you got some guys coming in. Is it Virginia or some of your like old time buddies?
All over, yeah. My old roommate, she flies President around in HMX, the green and white helicopters.
Yep.
She's coming in. My old double assistant maintenance officer, she's coming in, and then my Sergeant Major Scott Horn, um, and yeah, he's just the best human ever. And then my old mentor Darren Miller, who's now in Northern California, coming in as well.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're very proud to have all of them, and should be a really great event. So we're looking forward to it. So again, well, thank you for taking time. I know we kind of pushed this, but we wanted to we're going to probably put it out tomorrow just as a kind of primer for the Niners game and the salute to service and you guys being our guests. So we're very grateful to have you guys. So thank you so much.
We want to plug George. Vote for
Yes.
George. Salute to service. We've already voted, and we've told everybody we know to vote. So
All right. Well,
he walks the walk and talks the talk. And thank you again to you, and we're grateful for everything you guys do. And if you ever want to come to San Diego, he'll put you up in a C-130 or some kind of jet that you want to get on. So there you go.
I'm kind of down for that. So that's good. So yeah, Emma and her, they just sold their place. They were in Bonzel, I think, northern San Diego. So they just moved to Tennessee. They're a couple miles out on the west side of Nashville near George out in the country. So they need a little bit more space, but yeah,
Nice.
we'll still get down there. So, all right. Well, if no further ado, then we are grateful for that. And folks, we hope you enjoy the show, and we're really looking forward to Sunday's game against Seattle. And hopefully it's another whooping on them Seahawks, but we'll see. There's not been anything very easy this season. So we'll see. That's how it really goes. So, all right. So that's a wrap.